of Liberia hit the news.
What is it that we, the Liberian people, want?
The Liberian communities in the diasporas are not left out. That's why Diaspora's Talk is back on your screens on KMTV. In fact, the United Party is not cohesive. Be it social, political, economic, and other issues affecting Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
I did not expect to even make it to Hollywood.
Joan Cyrus McGee and Nathan Charles every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on KMTV, Facebook, and YouTube.
I want to be arrested in the midst of my people.
As they discuss the issues, blending the voices from Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
The Liberian Business Association in the diaspora should be used as a vehicle for economic development in Liberia because no country can develop without a diaspora impact.
For sponsorship, call some numbers 612-806-5896, 816-433-3979, or better still, email us at usakmtv@gmail.com. Diaspora Talk, check this out. Good afternoon from where I sit here in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. I'd like to say welcome to the Diaspora Talk here on KMTV, Creative Minds Television. We are everywhere. That's why we are coming to you live on our Facebook, our YouTube, the official KMTV app. If you have not yet gotten the app on your device, search your iPhone app store, your Google Play Store. Just search KMTV Liberia. You have it on the go on your iPad, your tablet or whatever. If you're at home, you can also search your smart TV. Just search KMTV Liberia. Whether you are using Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Google TV, search KMTV Liberia. There are exciting things on there, strictly Liberian content that you can watch on the go. And I'd like to say welcome. It's Monday. It's the 11th day of September 2023, and I'm here with my colleague Nathan Charles. Together we're going to be running this edition of the program. Nathan, welcome to the show.
It's indeed a pleasure. It's indeed a pleasure to be back again on the Diaspora Talk. It's September 11th.
I was just getting ready to ask you, what do you remember about this day 22 years ago?
Oh man, famous World Trade Center. You can't forget that incident in the United States of America. So,
and there are a lot of things going on in memory of 9/11 across the U.S. and the world. Remember today very well when the famous World Trade Center got attacked by terrorists, and it was one of a very, very troubling thing, not just for America but for the world at large. So 9/11 memory, our hearts are out to all of those who lost their loved ones. There are people who were victims of 9/11, servicemen, including firefighters, members of the security apparatus, first responders. They were all there making sure that they could provide help for those who were victimized as the result of that terrorist attack. And 22 years on, the world still remember that day at Fridge. But it's happening days to election in Liberia.
29 days to determine.
So in 30 days' time, we'll be hearing preliminary results. It was like, it sounds funny because we were talking about this day almost 6 years ago when President George Weah and his team got the mantle of authority to stir the affairs of our country. Everybody was saying, we can't wait for 2023. 23 came, we started to count, months. And now we are counting just days. How amazing that is.
Well, that's why they said a famous saying, time wait for no man. So indeed, it's about time that you either change the current government or you retain them. So time wait for no man. It says the greatest enemy of all men is time.
It's time.
But you got to use it wisely.
So what code do you have today? Is there any code?
A lot of famous quotes, a lot of them coming in from concerning election. As you know, we are towards election, and it's all about empowering our people. So if our people take election very seriously, definitely our country will be the most. So this famous quote here, it says that democracy is based upon the conviction there are extraordinary possibilities in ordinary people. So you know that there's extraordinary possibilities in ordinary people.
So you don't take ordinary people for granted. That is. So there are a lot of possibilities that will, come from the ordinary people, and the ordinary people in Liberia are at the verge of making a huge decision come October 10, and we see the political parties making their rounds. I think former Vice President Boakai, they are chasing the voters, selling their ideas or what they think or what they want to do for Liberia. Former Vice President Boakai is in the Western Belt today. I believe in the bombing area, the bombing Cape Mount, Bapulu. That's the Western Belt of Liberia. I don't know where the CDC campaign is right now. We saw Dr. Clarence Moniba making some moves across other areas. Tewan Gonglo been out there with his campaign as well. But I don't see a lot from the Cummins team. I don't know. They were in, I think, the same Western cluster a couple of days ago. I saw Yeke Koluba joining them there. And he was asked by the reporter, "What are you doing here?" He's like, I came with one of my stand-up bearers. So he's a guy that is spreading his tentacles in every opposition political party he can find to affiliate with, making sure that he can just show his face, that those opposition parties will not put candidate against him. And so far, I think only the Unity Party, I understand, got a candidate in his district. Not the Unity Party per se, but this Yeke Sekwi, who's said to be the son of the vice standard bearer of the Unity Party, is a candidate in his district. But Yeke is making sure he can affiliate with almost all of the political parties. And last week, precisely the CDC Blue Day was held. We understand the CPP is coming on the 14th, if I'm right. I think the 14th they will be doing theirs. The 17th is the Unity Party. They call it the Green Day. So we are looking out to see what's happening or what's going to happen. This was during the CDC parade. We saw this.
Joining us for Ganta, Nimba County.
Not their Blue Day per se, but this was when Jefferson Koji led his team into Ganta City, Lima County. You understand? They picked up some endorsements from over there. He was all out there with his team. He's the Secretary General of the CDC. I see him flanked by some, musicians and all of that. Bucket Roll along with them in Lima County. And that was just quite recently. But in District 2, this amazing video from District number 2.
Ballot. Let us vote women vote. Stand beside our next president. And of course, hello. Welcome. Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to invite great turnout of people on this ring. You are very special. I know that Liberians will not make a single mistake again. So today I am here, district number 1, to introduce to you the candidates on the Unity ticket. Women pay. Women pay is number 7 on the senatorial ballot. Let us vote women pay. Vote. Stand beside our next president. And of course, hello. Great turnout of people honor this ring. You are very special. I know that Liberians will not make the same mistake again. So today I am here, district number 1, to introduce to you the candidates on the Unity ticket.
And I tell you, that was from the campaign of the Unity Party. And what's exciting about that, or amazing to see the folks in the ring, at that campaign in District number 2, Moserado County, when former Vice President Joseph Boakai, went there and attended. He kind of mesmerized the crowd, promising them, and you heard them singing "Our Past Sorry, We Made a Mistake." Nathan, what do you make of that moment?
Well, it's politics. It's the political season. You expect his supporters to come out. Even non-supporters who just want to be in the fries will also come out. Like I said, I'm not moved by the crowds or the chanting, but on that election day, what do the people really need? The expected outcome, or the outcome from that election. So crowd, do not just move me.
I like that. So I know is a wonderful time, and like you saw in our caption, the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, AJA, will storm the state of Minnesota this weekend with a couple of activities.
Peacefully.
Yeah, it's a peaceful one.
Journalists on the use strong word.
Yeah, we'll storm. And that's the action time where we will gather to commemorate another convention. This is an election year. A lot is expected. The AJA president Joe Mason will share the platform with us. He's already in studio, but we'll do due diligence to the Park Liquor Outlets, who's proudly associating with the Diaspora Talk. Thanks to Jackson George and his team. They are one of our proud sponsors of our Diaspora Talk. When we come back, we'll welcome the national president of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, AJA. Stay tuned, don't go away. Let your celebration begin with Park Liquor Outlet, your first Liberian-owned liquor store in the city of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We have everything that you need to set that special occasion of ride. For your next party or great get-together with friends, visit Park Liquor Outlet. We have great selection of beer, wine, gin, and many more at affordable prices. Our customer service will make you always want to come back. We are open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Park Liquor Outlet, your one-stop celebration store. We are located at 6315 Zine Avenue North, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Visit us today and feel the difference.
Many times when Liberians come to the States, driving becomes an issue for them. So the train coming here will give people the opportunity to find better jobs, to be able to move around easily, and will cut down some of the costs that we incur on ourselves. Some of the older people, we got people that have to go for them and bring them to buy their groceries. Now, they can do it on their own. The Blue Line coming to Brooklyn Park, especially where we are concentrated, will be a blessing to most of us.
And I tell you, welcome back right here on the Diaspora Talk on this wonderful Monday. It's a great day to remember 9/11. Our people are commemorating different activities across the U.S. and the world indeed remembers 9/11, what happened in America, shook the entire world. And we continue to see our hearts are out to, survivors, some of the victims, people who lost, their family members, getting deep reflection 22 years after is something everybody talking about. But like I said, before we took the break, we will be welcoming with us. He's already here in the studio with us, the national president of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, AJA, which is going to convention this weekend here in Minnesota, Mr. Joe Sonega Mason. Mr. Mason, welcome.
Thank you so much, Cyrus, and to you, Nathan, for the invitation to be here today. I'm pleased, as always, to be on Diaspora Talk. This will be, I guess, my last appearance as president.
I thought you were going to say your last appearance on Diaspora Talk. I was going to say, Mr. President, don't do that. In fact, we're going to have you as a panelist maybe sometime.
Exactly. I mean, just relinquishing the title frees me to be able to do some personal things I want to do. Mm-hmm. Ordinarily, the title would not have allowed me to do. So while I'm ending my last appearance, as president, I look forward to other appearances as well. But as I mentioned, my last appearance, I just want to be grateful to KMTV, to you, Cyrus, to Nathan, KMTV USA, KMTV Liberia, the Chief Executive Officer, Ronald Jackson, and the entire staff of KMTV for everything they've done during the course of my presidency to elevate our work. I couldn't be more grateful for the partnership we had over the last several years. So thank you to KMTV.
Now you are doing this. We call it this lap. You know, you're on the verge of telling the people of Aja, thanks for the 4 years of service. Firstly, what's the state of Aja?
I believe Aja is in a great state, and I'm pleased that even as we leave this role, we're leaving it. I'm hoping in good hands, and Aja can only get better. I think over the course of the last 4 years, we've managed to move the goalpost from whence we've got it, and from all intent and purposes, history, I believe, will judge this administration currently in terms of some of the work we've done and some of the successes we've been able to achieve.
So if you are to count on, what are some of those that Mr. Mason can point at? Taking over 4 years ago, I know you were in the leadership just before you ascended to the presidency. You were vice president. I know you saw some of the challenges. You were part of the transformation headed by then President Moses Sandy. You stirred the affairs along with him. What are some of those things you can point out taking the bull by the horn 4 years ago?
Yeah, so you correctly mentioned I was vice president under my predecessor, and we made significant strides, taking Alja from that state of dormancy and elevating Alja's prominence and putting into place some of the structures we have today. But my responsibility and my goal, my objective when I assumed the presidency was to, like I said, move the goalposts a little further. So we've been able to expand Aja's reach, broaden Aja's footprint. And I have a strong and vibrant chapter in New England, which was just coming to life when I took over. The DMV chapter, the DC, Virginia, and Maryland chapter is also up and running. And I believe that chapters make up the strength of the organization. The organization is only as strong as the chapters that form part of the association. So the more the chapters that Aja has, I think the better off we will be. We've also been able to establish the Joe Ted Memorial Scholarship on the Mountain West. That scholarship has been able to assist students in the Department of Communications and Media Studies at the University of Liberia now on a consistent basis. And I'm looking forward, at least with my successor coming over, I'm looking forward to having them expand the pool of recipients who benefit from the Aja Scholarship. We've also been able to increase the logistics support we provide to the media in Liberia in the tune of thousands of dollars that we've done consistently over the last several years. We've built partnerships and relationships with universities and colleges because we believe it is important as an institution that is committed to capacity building and training to foster these kinds of relationships, whether it is with the Herbert School of Journalism at the University of Liberia, whether it is with experts who have qualification in these different fields of media that we need to tap into. We're able to build those kinds of relationships, which we believe will continue to yield dividend for Aja, even as the new administration takes over. So, I mean, there are a lot of other things that we can cite, that we've been able to achieve just in terms of the capacity building as well. We've been able to do virtual training with our colleagues in Liberia. We've been able to have our colleagues come over here consistently now over the last several years and engage them in training opportunities. And so, I just, continue to be that organization when it comes to advocacy. Of course, that is something we've done consistently now, and we continue to do that even under this administration. Our voice continues to be loud when it comes to issues of freedom of speech and freedom of the press, issues of good governance, the rule of law. Those are core issues we believe that are important in just sustaining the democracy we have. And so I just continue to make our voices heard as loud as possible. So just looking back and citing some of those things I think we've been able to achieve, I can go into retirement pleased with what we're able to achieve. So,
Neta, I know you want to come in.
You outline all of the successes, some of them. Let's look at area you have not targeted. What has been the reason why you have not met these targeted areas with this association? Some of the goals you set.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. And one of the things that we endeavored to do was to transition Aja from that state where the bulk of our resources come from our membership. I think for us to be able to do really big things in Aja, we need to broaden our resource base in terms of where we get support from. And that has been a challenge. I know we did a number of partnership and work with the Department of Health, Minnesota Department of Health, that brought in some resources for Alja. We're also, like we do every year at our convention, reach out to friends and partners and people who believe in our mission. We do raise funding at our convention when we host our annual dinner and fundraising dinner, but we need to go beyond those kinds of fundraising effort. And that is something we were not able to achieve, even though we made some strides. But we're hoping that our successor can learn from some of our shortcomings, and hopefully, either can get to that point where the resource we're able to get, able to meet the needs we have, because the need is huge. It's great when you come to the media landscape in Liberia. We talked about hundreds of media institutions, whether it's radio stations, newspapers, and television stations. What we do, as much as it is impactful, it is just a drop in the bucket when you consider the need that exists. So the need is huge, the resources are scarce, and I'm hopeful that my appeal to the new leadership will be to broaden that resource base so I'm just able to do a lot more.
And Mr. President, with time, I mean, in under a week, there will be election, and before we come to our own, let's look at Liberia. I know you've applied a lot of efforts in helping to train, colleagues in Liberia. When you sit and see what comes out of the media in Liberia, what your thoughts are?
There are still significant challenges, Cyrus. I will be the first to admit that. And I just talked about, the lack of resources, but it would take, not just resources, but it would take partnership with PUL, the Press Union of Liberia, and ALJA and other institutions working to address a number of different issues, whether it is the fact that the media is underpaid, whether it is the fact that there are issues of ethics and integrity, and you mentioned the lack of training, because you have all these different media institutions chasing just few people who are qualified. There are a lot of people now who are taking microphones and claiming to be journalists when they don't have the basic training required for them to be able to call themselves journalists. So there's a lot of problem that the media is facing right now. And again, it will take partnership, it will take collaboration. Even now, I mean, you look at the headlines, which is talking about just the headlines you look at these days, and you wonder where public relations now is been taken for high news, especially when you go towards this election, and newspapers and entities are mushrooming all over the place, because this is election season and people are just starting these entities to be able to promote one part or the other, one candidate or the other. And so, the challenges are huge, Cyrus. I can't deny that, but I also want to acknowledge the fact that there are a couple of journalists who are doing very good work, and Aja, we acknowledge some of those journalists who are doing good work, because for the first time in Aja history, we are awarding what we call the Media Excellence Award.
Oh,
yes, because most of the time you hear about all the challenges that the media is facing, and I agree, and I just admitted to some of them. But again, like I said,
are those going to be institutional or
individuals? We said to ourselves that we needed to recognize our colleagues who are doing really, really great work. That way, we're not just motivating them and saying to them, look, there are people who are looking at your work and will want to encourage you to continue to do good work, but to also motivate young journalists who are coming in the field to say, look, do the right thing, follow all the tenets of the profession, and you will be rewarded, because sometimes I think just the tendency to get quick money, tend to cloud people's objectivity and integrity. So that is what we want to do. So 5 of our colleagues were selected. 3 from Liberia,
Okay.
And 2 of our colleagues,
and they are going to be here. We come into that.
That's the expectation. That is the expectation.
So, Mr. President, in the midst of everything, Liberia is going to elections, and it seems as if to say the media is shut off holistically with the fact that the PUL is still clouded in court over its last election. Firstly, what role did Arja on your leadership play during this time of the union's crisis, and what are your hopes?
Our hope is for the union to remain united, and that is why we've taken the stance to remain engaged with both parties as much as possible. When the crisis erupted in Monrovia, we had a member of our ethics committee in Monrovia at the time, and we had said to the PUL leadership at the time that we want to be involved directly. So Mrs. Melissa Chiana was a part of the mediation committee because she was in Monrovia at the time. Unfortunately, the committee did not produce the result we all desire, and so there's still this issue of the crisis in the leadership. We are still engaged, still talking to both parties. As a matter of fact, we had invited both candidates to come to our convention here in the States, saying to them, hey, maybe, distance away from Liberia will help in the mediation effort. So come and let's sit down and see how we can, come to some sort of resolution. Unfortunately, they would not be coming, but we will remain engaged, and I'm hopeful my successor will do as well. Our goal was not to favor one side over the other, or not to favor one party over the other, because we believe, both parties, have some genuine concerns, and we want to be able to listen to those concerns. But at the end of the day, our goal is for both sides to come together, for the union to remain united, because if the union is split, it is weakened and they cannot be effective.
Is the union very weak right now?
It is. Without a leadership at the moment, with the controversy as it currently exists, it is weakened because if one side issues a statement, the other side says no, you are not a legitimate authority to issue a statement. So in that kind of instance, it is difficult for them to be taken seriously in the midst of the crisis that currently exists.
So right now, journalists in Liberia are vulnerable. They don't have nobody to support them.
Because they remain mired in court. And we are hopeful that some sort of resolution would have been arrived at before the elections. It doesn't seem that would be the case, considering that we have about 30 some more days to the election. And I'm really, really, really hopeful. Again, like I said, we're engaged in both sides.
How long? It's been months.
It's been months, and it's become difficult now. Once the court now is the body responsible now to adjudicate the matter. Either both parties have to come together and say, look, let's remove this issue from the court and see how we can resolve it. But absent that, it is the court now that decide.
What are you doing? Are you doing mediation?
Yeah, like I said, we are still engaged with both sides, and that is our appeal.
Willingness from both parties.
There's still some intransigence on both parties, because both see some righteous justification for what they're doing, and we're saying to them, look, the unity of the PL should trump a lot of what is happening right now, because again, like I said, Nathan and Cyrus, you all would agree that if the PL is split, it is a weak organization, and it makes it harder for people to take their voice seriously.
And what effect would this have on the media in this critical decision-making time of our country?
It will be serious, because right now you need the PO as that a voice that is raising many of the issues that is unfolding in the country right now. We've been able to raise some of those issues as well, but we recognize the PL's role as the mother organization of all journalists in Liberia. And so they have that moral authority, basically, to be able to speak for all journalists. But in the midst of this crisis, like I said, it's hard now for them to be able to, make a statement, or take a position where people can listen and say, yeah, this is the position we need to listen to, because of the distraction and the division that exists currently.
And I know because of this, you are not inviting the union in general, because you don't know who to extend an invitation to.
Which is unfortunate, because we have this relationship with the union, and over the course of not just my presidency, but my predecessors as well, the PUI president will always come to our convention, and that will be an opportunity for us to sit down and talk about common goals and discuss challenges that exist in the media. Unfortunately, that is not the case now.
So let's. You are speaking about the PUL is now not helping our media practitioner, and you being the head of AJA in Americas. I would like to know, is a right, ethical right for a media institution to support a political party or candidate in this election? And also, have you spotted any intimidation from political parties or individuals on journalists in Liberia?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer, because independent journalists, and I mean, there are partisan journalists all over the place, Mario. Like I said, many of these institutions now, they're being funded purely for political purposes. They're mushrooming now because election is just around the corner. I bet you many of the entities that are existing right now, after the elections, they will cease to exist because there will be no more funding, right? So, if you consider yourself an independent journalist, there's certain ethical responsibility that you have. I don't know if I have this on my T-shirt, but one of the catchphrases that we have for this convention is ethics and integrity matter.
Oh.
It is so important for us as journalists to be able to abide by those tenets of journalism, including being objective, being ethically responsible, for people to have confidence in journalism as a whole. Because if we are perceived as being partisan, it makes it harder for people to look at you or listen to you and say, I can take something from what Nathan is saying, because Nathan has shown himself to be a partisan over the course of his professional career.
Yeah, right.
Makes it exactly. So you transition from a public relation person to a journalist who should be credible. Because now you're respecting other tenets of the profession. So, our goal, our expectation is that journalists will continue to conduct themselves in that way, in that manner. But I talk about all these challenges, I mean, if someone is not even making a livable wage, Nathan, as a journalist, it makes it harder for you to be, continue to handle them with being ethically responsible, because the person is worried about putting food on their table, so they will easily compromise the ethical responsibility when it comes to the profession. So, those are challenges that exist. How do we resolve those challenges is something I continue to talk about. There's been suggestions for there to be a media merger. Can, these different media entities that hold the same in terms of the same view and the same objective come together. That way they're paying the staff more, so that a collective bargaining agreement, has been proposed as well. So those are things that we as journalists, people who are part of these different institutions such as AJA, need to come together and find resolutions to.
Just before we go to a break, tell us, what role will AJA be playing in a couple of days? I understand you were planning something for Liberia as it relates to election and all that.
Yes. So as an organization, we've been concerned, obviously, about the conduct of these elections. We know that these are consequential elections, and the transparency and of these elections are important. The fact that they should be conducted in an atmosphere that is non-violent is important to us, because we know our history and from whence we come when it comes to violence. For this democracy that we currently enjoy to continue to be sustained, our elections have to be credible. They have to be transparent. And so the overall theme of our convention is, how can the media ensure a transparent and violence-free 2023 presidential and general elections. That's our overall team. So that would be what we'll be talking about over the next few days as we convene here in Minnesota. What we're also doing for the very first time as an institution is to send election observers to Liberia. We have a number of observers, and we've been in close contact with the Elections Commission, and they've been very gracious in allowing us to send our monitors. We've been in touch with the public relations folks there, and we just recently submitted the names of the monitors. They will be in Liberia, and they will be providing us feedback in terms of how the process is unfolding, and all these things we're talking about, the transparency of the process, the voting exercise itself, people access to the poll. All those things are important to us as it is to many other Liberians who have a stake in this process.
All right. So what would it look like? Are they going to be unified? Would it be identified as agile observers?
Correct. They will be identified. They will be unified. We've asked the Elections Commission if there are any particular regulations we need to follow regarding what sort of inscription we have on their vest. They said, well, it's entirely up to you. So we'll make sure that the vest they're wearing clearly identifies them as agile representative. Whenever anyone who sees them will know that they're representing agile.
Joe Sonega Mason, he's the national president of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, the guy who's ending his second term in honor a week. And, that very often that African leaders was the lead power, but it is what it is. So we'll take this very quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the lineup for the convention. What's going to be taking place, when guests or delegates are expected to be arriving, who are those, the speakers, and, just things that will be happening over the weekend. Let's take this very quick break. When we come back, we jump into that before we wrap up this edition of Diaspora Talk. Don't go away.
Many of the times when Liberians come to the States, driving becomes an issue for them. So the train coming here will give people the opportunity to find better jobs, to be able to move around easily, and will cut down some of the costs that we incur on ourselves. Some of the older people, we got people that have to go for them and bring them to buy their groceries. Now, they can do it on their own. The Blue Line coming to Brooklyn Park, especially where we are concentrated, will be a blessing to most of us.
Let your celebration begin with Park Liquor Outlet, your first Liberian-owned liquor store in the city of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We have everything that you need to set that special occasion or bride. For your next party or great get-together with friends, visit Park Liquor Outlet. We have great selection of beer, wine, gin, and many more at affordable prices. Our customer service will make you always want to come back. We are open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Park Liquor Outlet, your one-stop celebration store. We are located at 6315 Zine Avenue North, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Visit us today and feel the difference.
This is a show that delves into the lives of politicians beyond their political personas. This show is putting aside the debates and the policies, but instead we'll get candid, raw, and unfiltered with our presidential and vice presidential candidates. I'm your host, Shoana Cashel. Join me for Candidates Unfiltered, the person, not the politics.
And I tell you, Shoana Cashel with that, the Candidates Unfiltered on KMTV. She's bringing the live story out of those that are contesting our national elections, and some of them have already appeared. We watched Mr. Alexander Cummings and others. I'm sure very soon, I understand, Vice President Joa Howard Taylor will be one of those. She will be featuring on Candidates Unfiltered, their real lifestyle. But thanks to our sponsors, if you are in Minnesota or visiting Minnesota and you're looking for that spot to have a real taste of African food, Mama T's Restaurant is the place. She's there in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. The number is there on your screen. Just check her out, her website as well, and they do deliveries, so you can order through the delivery apps and also get your food just to your doorstep. Trust me, you will thank me later. So we'd like to welcome back our national president of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, AJA, Mr. Joe Mason is our guest today, and we are looking at the upcoming AJA National Convention, which is kicking off in Minnesota this weekend. Mr. Mason, I know you are all fired up for this weekend.
I am fired up because one is my last convention, and so I'm hopeful that it can be a very, very successful convention as we walk out the door, ensuring that elections are peaceful, are transparent, ensuring that we're leaving behind a legacy that the new administration can continue to build upon. So yes, I'm excited just to have folks come back to our town, Minnesota. We always do big stuff here. The last election, last convention we held here, we're very, very successful. I know all the other chapters try to emulate us. So, and we try to all do them. So we not just all do them, but all do ourselves. So hopefully we are all doing ourselves again this year when we meet here this weekend.
Yeah, I know we should have had the program chair with you, but busy schedule. So probably you can take a time to drill us through what we're expecting to see this weekend.
Correct. Yes. So we begin officially on Thursday. On Thursday, we will begin what we call tour of media houses here in the Twin Cities. We'll begin with the Minnesota Public Radio, one of, if not the biggest public radio stations here in the state. We will tour their facility. The tour will include many of our colleagues who are coming from Liberia. Some will begin arriving here today. And then after the tour of the Minnesota Public Radio, we'll try to get people, a tour of some of the beautiful and historic places here in the Twin Cities, downtown Minneapolis. And then we will come over to your own network, CCX Media, and as a public television station that we have here in Brooklyn Park. We will tour CCX Media as well. We did tour CCX Media a couple of years ago when we hosted the convention here, so it'll be our second time at that entity. And then later on Thursday evening, we will convene at the home of one of our members for what we call the pre-meet and greet since Thursday. So that will wrap up the activities for Thursday. On Friday, we will have our media workshop. Our conventions, when we do host them, we intentionally hold this workshop because we believe it is important. We are as an organization, we are one of our goals is to do capacity building, to be able to provide training for our colleagues. So in partnership with the University of Minnesota Herbert School of Journalism and the Institute on Community Integration, we'll host our workshop over at the U of M campus.
This is the University of Minnesota.
University of Minnesota campus, and we'll have some of the staff professors, lend their expertise to the workshop, which I'm very, very pleased about. Again, one of the things we said we're going to be intentional about is to just establish these relationships with some of these institutions that have the capacity, that have the professionals to help us in our goal of building the capacity of our colleagues. So the training will wrap up at around 3:00, and then we will, mix just some fun and strength, because one of the things we do with journalists, we work together. Many of us, work together, and so there's this bond and camaraderie that exists amongst us. We'll try to strengthen that, over the course of this weekend as well. So we'll do a boat ride over Stillwater.
You go and fence it.
Yeah. So we'll do a boat ride, and then later on in the evening, we'll meet over again for our official meet and greet that Friday night at one of the local chapter members' home. And thanks to the membership, they're doing some of these things entirely at their own cost. So I want to be grateful to them. On Saturday is our General Assembly, but before the General Assembly, and I heard you talked about the presidential elections and getting to know the candidates. One of the things we said that we would do is engage the candidates and see if they can talk about their platform to the electorate, because people need to know why they're throwing their hat in the race, what would be different, that we currently have, or in case of the CDC, what would be, if not different, but what would they build upon? So we've engaged the top tier candidates because the presidential campaign has about 20 candidates. We don't have the time on that Saturday to, engage all the candidates. So what we decided to do was to engage the top tier candidates, including the president's team, Mr. Boakai, Mr. Cummins, Mr. Gonglo, and then we decided that we'll balance the equation a little bit, and so we added Mr. Cyril Bethel Unity in the race. So those 5 candidates, we reached out to them, and with the goal that we'll be able to engage them, not in a debate style, because I don't know if the candidates themselves is open to a debate or will be open to a debate. But what we'll do, we'll call it the presidential forum, where we'll engage one candidate after the other. So far, we've received 2 favorable responses.
Who are those?
From the Gonglo team and from the team of Madam Sarah Belton Yanti. We're still waiting to hear back from Mr. Cummings' team, Mr. Brakai's team, and the president's team. But we're still engaging them, and from all intended purposes, we're hopeful that they will come true. So that'll be on Saturday, and then after the forum, we will jump into the General Assembly, where we just talk all about AJA. Do our reports. Do my final report, listen to the different chapters report, and then get down to the business of doing our elections for that day. That will sum up the afternoon session, and then we will reconvene later on in the evening for our formal fundraising banquet and awards night. And that will be when we will install our officers, newly elected officers, but then we'll also be able to raise money for our media development fund, which supports AJA activities during the course of the year. That's the major fundraising night that we will have, and that will basically climax the activities. And then Sunday, of course, we'll have the Thanksgiving service to appreciate God for everything He's done for not just the last year, but for me personally over the course of my administration. And then I will do the farewell barbecue, which basically ends the convention.
Ends the convention. That's all.
So we're going to be outside the entire weekend.
Also,
and fortunately, we're doing it. The weather is still awesome.
It's still good.
Most of our colleagues, especially those who come from Liberia, they've complained in the past because the convention is normally early October. They complain in the past about Minnesota being very, very cold. So hopefully, with us still weeks away from entering October, the weather will be great, and we'll all be outside and enjoy the weather and have some fun.
So, I know you want to come in later.
Yeah. So basically, I wanted to know, you are leaving this stage as president in terms of financial records. What is it like? Are we in good state?
There was a windfall that we enjoy from our partnership with the city in terms of our COVID-19 efforts. But I would say that we still have a long way to go as an organization. We need to be consistent in terms of paying our dues, which is our responsibility to the organization, and because that's how entirely AJAs work, and so I would say that we all have to be more intentional about fulfilling our obligation to the association, but we're in a much better state than we were a couple of years ago. I would say that.
Better stage. And you want to touch on your speakers and those you're expecting to grace your occasion. Sure. Are there invitees from the government of Liberia and all that?
No, so we were intentional this year because we realized that we are in an election year. We did not want our platform to be used by either politicians or folks in the government, folks in the opposition, or folks in the government to campaign, or to engage in any kind of campaign. So we said, we will not engage any politician this year. We will not engage any government official this year. So our guest speaker happens to be a Liberian American, Colorado State Representative Nikita Ricks. She will be our guest speaker. She's a politician, of course, but one who doesn't have any, we hope, doesn't have any leaning to any of the candidates or parties in Liberia. But she's also very engaged in terms of what's happening on the ground. She's very in tune, she's very in touch with most of what is happening. And when we talked about what we want to do, her concerns were just exactly our concern about, avoiding any kind of violence, about showing the transparency of the process. So she'll speak to those topics, and we're looking forward to hearing from her.
Let's look at the lineup of those coming out of the country, because I know it's been a long time, or two conventions or so. We've not had people from Liberia. What can you say about that? What can you say about people coming from Europe and other areas?
Yeah, so we're pleased, like I said, that we have some of our colleagues who are coming for the first time, like you correctly stated, since COVID, because they add value to our convention. Um, they are one of the reasons. Well, not they're the core reason why AJA exists. AJA exists in addition to the advocacy we do, but to be able to build the capacity of our colleagues in Liberia. So be really pleased to have them come and be a part of all the activities that we'll be engaged in this weekend. They will begin arriving. I think one or two persons are arriving today, and then over the course of the next few days, we'll see more come in, and then they'll be joined by our members from across the U.S. I know there were reports, not independently verified, that there will be colleagues of ours who are coming from you as well. I'm yet to verify that, but we'll be more than happy to embrace and welcome them and have them be a part of what we do.
Indeed, it's going to be a great weekend. We heard all of the rundown. Members in high gear. AJA President Joe Mason is here giving us a breakdown of his activities, and he's stepping out of office. How do you feel?
I couldn't be more proud of the work we've done, and I'm at peace as I walked out the door. I think we've given it our utmost best. And when we look back, thanks to my core of officers, Dr. Samuel Johnson, the Vice President, Mrs. Akai Gladden, the National Secretary General, Mr. Peter Massaquoi, the Assistant Secretary General, the Board of Directors who work with us, including the Chairperson, Mr. Siba Mapaya, all the members of the board, the chairpersons of all the different committees, and all the committee members, the presidents of our different chapters, and everyone who has been involved. Look, whatever success we've achieved over the last few years would not have been possible without the partnership, the cooperation of everyone across the board. So I owe it to everybody, and I couldn't be more grateful for the support that I've received over the course of my tenure. I mean, I don't think there's been an occasion when I've gone out to somebody and say, hey, can you do this for AJA? And they've said no, because they all believe in the goals and aspirations for which the association was established, and everyone has been very, very supportive.
So, and I know generally when you have your convention, there are tickets people have to pay to attend your dinner and ball. You care to tell us about what the tickets are out there for those who are watching, maybe want to make their way to join us also this weekend?
Yeah, and sponsorship as well. Correct. But let me state that the ball, the fundraising dinner and award night will be at the Ebenezer Community Church.
Okay.
Ebenezer Community Church is where we will be meeting. And
that's why you're having our ball?
Yes.
At the church?
Well, yeah.
The church will have a hall, though.
Yeah, I know
have a hall.
Yes. So I know when you mentioned
it's a spiritual ball.
When you mention the church, someone says, "Hey, will there be dance?" No,
but the church do have an event hall.
They have an event hall.
They do have an event
hall where we will host. They're quite cognizant of the fact that we're an organization and people come in there, and there will be
Red Cups will be there.
Well, I hope no, there will not be. But there will be an after party. There will be an after party. Yeah, there will not be Red Cups at the church. But we get that. There will be Red Cups at the after party. So we will be at the Ebenezer Community Church on the 16th of September, which is this Saturday. We start at 7 o'clock prompt because we want to be able to accomplish quite a few things. The tickets are on sale for $40 for singles. So if you and your spouse were going, we are now selling couple tickets. So you just buy 2 single tickets to make it in the hall. We have patron tickets on sale for $100, and special patrons we have to pay $150 to be able to get in the hall. We also, like Nathan mentioned,
advertisement,
and I'm sure before I leave, I will get something from the insurance company.
The Little Charles Insurance Agency LLC.
To put in the souvenir program. But yeah, so sponsorship out there. We're doing sponsorship in the souvenir program, even on the red carpet banner. We have lists of sponsors on the red carpet banner because the banner will be displayed, and we want to be able to have the business names display.
Okay.
We'll also have an opportunity where we'll talk about the businesses in the course of the program. So we're not just putting your ad in the.
Well, you're gonna be recognized.
Yeah, we'll be recognized, because sometimes people just gloss over these ads in the papers. But when you come up there and talk about the businesses, because it's our way of saying to the local businesses who are doing the very best to to serve the community, that hey, your people, and hey, people, these are your businesses. Please support them. It's our way of supporting the business.
All right, Mr. President, as we wrap it up, what's your final words to AJA members? I see a lot of them are watching. What's your final words to them as we get prepared for the weekend?
Well, I just want to again first thank all the members of AJA for the incredible honor it's been to serve as president for 2 terms unopposed on a white ballot. I mean, you can say
not attempting to change the constitution for a third term.
So I can't say enough about what an honor it's been to serve as president for the last 4 years, and then as vice president for the prior 4 years as well. I thank them all for the support to AJA, for making AJA what it is today, and encourage them to lend the same support, if not, increase the support to my successor, because AJA has a huge role to play. We've carved for ourselves a place in the history of our country, and I couldn't be most grateful to those who had the foresight to establish AJA, because now we know how important a role it continues to play in advocacy, but also in helping to shape the media landscape in our country.
All right, folks. Joe Sonaga Mason, the outgoing president of the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas, AJA. AJA will be in our Twin Cities this weekend. And Mr. President, we like to say thanks for your service. And our team will also be there to roll out, what's going to be happening, so that everything will be on the records as always. It was good having you. You had to leave your busy schedule to share the platform with us this afternoon. Thanks to you. And those of you out there, thanks for watching. Nathan, Charles, and I have been here. We will be back here on Wednesday with another edition of the program, the Diaspora Talk. Let's pray for our country, Liberia, with 29 days to elections. The heat is on, and we hope that it's going to be a peaceful one. God bless you all. Have yourself a wonderful day, and our hearts are out to all of those who are victims or lost people during the 9/11 attack on the United States 22 years after the war is greatly remembering this day. There are a lot of activities across the U.S. If you can, hop onto one of the local channels and watch what's going on in memory of today. Until then, have yourself a wonderful rest of the Monday. Bye-bye.
When the issues of Liberia hit the news,
What is it that we, the Liberian people, want?
The Liberian communities in the diasporas are not left out. That's why Diaspora Talk is back on your screens on KMTV.
in fact, the United Party is not cohesive. Be it social, political, economic, and other issues affecting Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
I did not expect to even make it to Hollywood.
Joan Cyrus McGee and Nathan Charles every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on KMTV, Facebook, and YouTube.
I want to be arrested in the midst of my people.
As they discuss the issues, blending the voices from Liberia and the diaspora Liberian communities.
The Liberian Business Association in the diaspora should be used as a vehicle for economic development in Liberia, because no country can develop without a diaspora impact.
For sponsorship, call cell numbers 612-806-5896, 816-433-3979, or better still, email us at usakmtv@gmail.com.
Diaspora Talk, from this house.
Many times when Liberians come to the States, driving becomes an issue for them. So the train coming here will give people the opportunity to find better jobs, to be able to move around easily, and will cut down some of the costs that we incur on ourselves. Some of the older people, we got people who have to go for them and bring them to buy their groceries. Now, they can do it on their own. The Blue Line coming to Brooklyn Park, especially where we are concentrated, will be a blessing to most of us.
This is a show that delves into the lives of politicians beyond their political personas. This show is putting aside the debates and the policies, but instead will get candid, raw and unfiltered with our presidential and vice presidential candidates. I'm your host, Shawana Cashel. Join me for Candidates Unfiltered, the person, not the politics.